Hello, this is a Bluthner style 4 grand piano that's 5 foot long, made in 1932. It's just come into stock, so I just want to appreciate the piano and see if there's any work we might need to do to refine it. Now, it's been fully restored by Bluthner's in Perivale. That's where they had their base in London, and has one-piece ivory keys. They're absolutely perfect. As you can see, it's a walnut piano with cabriole legs, so that's not so common for Bluthner's, although there are some. Most of the Bluthner's are mahogany, fiddleback mahogany or something similar to that. I don't know if we've even had one of these in before. So cabriole legs Bluthner grand piano is a rare item and certainly beautifully restored. The casework's been repolished and is in practically perfect condition. So just going to look round to see if there's anything that might need doing. But I think really, from what I saw before, it is absolutely perfect. So cabriole legs are very pretty, I think. And as I say, not the commonest and certainly not that common. There are some Bluthner cabriole legs pianos, but not that many of them. So really grateful to get this into stock. You can see the veneer also is very well chosen and beautifully matched in. There's no fading on the piano at all. So this is walnut veneer, and the top of it is, as you expect walnuts to be, very tasteful indeed. The front part of the lid folded back, as you normally see when you go into clients' houses, and as we've said before, you often get fading where it's been folded back. So do close your piano and open the piano. I like to use the opportunity always to mention this, but there is no fading on this one at all. It's actually been covered, and we've got the cover that was supplied with the piano, and you can see how beautifully veneered it is. The restoration is very extensive, including a new rest plank. That's the wood underneath here. And you can tell in 2 ways. One is looking at the rest plank, which we'll do in a second, but also if the tuning pins are small and it's been restrung, and it's extremely tight tuning pins, which they are, then the restorer puts smaller tuning pins in because he's got a new rest plank. If it's not a new rest plank, you need to put larger pins in. Now, on nearly all Bluthner grands, you can undo these screws which hold the top rail on, and you can have a look at the rest plank and see if it has been replaced. You might need also to undo the screw on this music desk slide to be able to get this off. And now we can see clearly it's a delignate rest plank, multi-layered, very common rest plank used in Europe, used in a lot of new pianos, and that holds the tuning pins really tight. So as they go through the different layers, the tuning pins are held tight. Even if humidity changes a bit, they'll still remain tight. On the original rest plank, normally Bluthner's are painted this black. So if that's painted black, and you can often see at the bottom without taking the rail off, that it's painted black, that's almost definitely going to be an original Bluthner rest plank, not a replacement. Now, while we've got the action out, we can check the dampers, and they're all in perfect condition. And here's the serial number. If you can't find the serial number on the soundboard on a Bluthner, it's nearly always here. This one has got it on the soundboard, as we'll see in a minute. And this signature, according to a colleague in the trade who used to work for Bluthner's, he's actually restoring one that has the same signature at the back. That was put on in the factory, apparently. And there's the serial number on the soundboard. You can see the same number. And this is the decal that they put on. This is a typical decal when it's restored. So 1929 is the last date here, so they put that on when they were restoring the piano. And indeed, it's a new soundboard. Sometimes they replace the soundboard, sometimes they shim the old one. It doesn't make that much difference, but obviously a new soundboard, they've chosen it carefully. They're used to restoring their own pianos. And the frame's been beautifully finished too, as you can see, the right colour, so as authentic as possible. The restorers are obviously trying to get exactly as it was originally, apart from the rest plank being probably an improvement. But you can see here the Bluthner blue felt and the way the strings have been done, and the string line is perfect. So in every way, this is a perfect restoration. With the cabriole leg piano, you usually get lyre-shaped lyre as well, as it's normally straight columns, but this is a lyre shape, which is what the old grand pianos used to have, and that's why it got called a lyre. The action's in perfect condition. There's new rollers and new hammers. If we look at their hammers, they're arbel hammers. You can tell by the green felt there, as we've said before. And if we look at the wear on the hammers, well, it's pretty non-existent. So after the piano's restored, not really much use at all, if any. Now, when they replaced the hammers, they had to check the weight and re-weight the keys as necessary. And if we look here, if we lift one up there, we can see that it's been plugged. So those weights have been taken out. So obviously they needed to make it slightly heavier, because that makes it obviously lighter if you put weights in the front of the keys. Weights in the back makes it heavier. There's one left there, and they've plugged 2 of them here. Let's have a look at 1 or 2 others. So that one there is another, again, 2 plugged there. You won't see it on the sharps because they paint them over black. Let's look at 1 more just to see how much it's been plugged. So here's another one, and we can see the plug there. Now, lifting the keys up, we noticed they were a bit stiff. So if you look at those keys, they should go straight back down. In a new piano, they would go straight down. So that's another refinement we need to make. We need to lubricate the balance rail, as we've mentioned before. I noticed that one of the dampers here, this one, is holding on too long. If we listen to it compared to the one next to it. So it's one of those strings that's not being damped properly. Let's try this right 2 and the left one. So it's the left one. You notice the back of it's a half wedge here, so that the half wedge is where half of the damper's wedged and not the other half. So this one is just flat, and the last of the half wedge is the problem. So if we listen to that string's not damped properly, and that one is. So what we need to do is to make this side go in slightly earlier, or possibly we can fluff up the left hand one. Those 2 alternatives there, but normally we would try and make this part go in earlier, and then that one will go in at the same time, and it'll dampen properly. So the right hand of these needs squashing. So these tweezers are very good for squashing. If you haven't got tweezers, your paps wedge might work, but you just try and squash it. So it's going to go further in, and the left hand side and the right will go in together. You might find it's a bit long as well, in which case you'd have to cut it with scissors. I'm not going to try that now, but just to mention that you might need to cut it if it gets a bit too long when you squash it. So now we can test it before we put the action back in. So let's pluck them. And I think that's still not damping as well as that one. So we're not quite done enough. So back to the drawing board. So now, having worked on it a bit more, we've got the damping as good as the one next to it, I think. One thing that impressed me about this piano is the evenness of tone and the mellowness of the tone. And the break point, very well disguised, as we've said before, trying to match the break point where you get one string going to that part of the soundboard, another string going to that part, is one of the shows a really high quality manufacturer who can do that. A lot of pianos you test, you find the break point, there's quite a lot of variety in it, even modern pianos. So there's no major work to do on this piano. It's been fastidiously restored by Bluthner themselves. One-piece ivories and your new soundboard. Fine, even tone throughout. Just general regulations, some things I didn't mention, but just small refinements. Lubricating the balance rail I did mention, and that's definitely will have an impact on the touch of the piano. And we want to make the touch like a new piano. New pianos have a very even touch. So having a look at the touch here, 59 grams. That's not too bad. 55 grams is a Kawai, for instance, a new Kawai. 65 grams, that's a little bit on the high side. So we just want to even this out. That is 50 grams, 56 grams, and 43 grams. That's quite low, really. 49, and so on. So it's not as even as we'd like it to be. The top should be slightly lighter, but not perhaps that much lighter. So we'll even up the voicing, even up the touch once we've done the balance rail and the rollers, which I didn't mention before. We always lubricate the rollers unless they've been done recently. So that's a Bluthner style 4 grand piano, 5 foot long, made in 1932, and walnuts with cabriole legs and lyre-shaped lyre. The tone is very warm indeed, and the touch extremely delicate. So if you're studying the piano, this will be more than adequate to study on, and just as good as a new piano to study on, and with, to my mind, a warmer tone. And it's rich, whatever area you play it in. Thank you very much for listening. If you're interested in the piano, please do write to info robertspianos.com.